The Game of Desire by Shannon Boodram. Picture this scene. A young woman named Courtney walks into a restaurant for what might be the most important first date of her life. She's meeting Derek, a firefighter, health enthusiast, and deep thinker who she's been crushing on forever. He's basically walking perfection in her eyes. But here's the twist. This isn't just a date. It's a carefully orchestrated mission. At a nearby table, her coach sits quietly holding up hand-drawn cue cards like a romantic spy handler. The first card shows a red smiley face. Translation: lead with positive energy. Courtney practically floats through the door and wraps Derek in a warm hug. Next card, two connected arrows. Touch him early, but keep it natural and respectful. She does exactly that. Then comes a newspaper icon. Share something good. She tells him about a passion project she just launched, playfully crediting him as her lucky charm. The date unfolds like a beautifully choreographed dance. When he mentions he's a Rams fan, she teases him about it, creating just enough playful tension. She even gets him to do a 30-second squat challenge right there in the restaurant. It's bold, slightly ridiculous, and creates the kind of shared moment that bonds people together. Nothing here is left to chance. Every gesture has purpose. This isn't about luck or fate. It's a game, and Courtney's playing it masterfully. This scene comes straight from Shannon Boodram's book, The Game of Desire, and it's not fiction. It's a real demonstration of something revolutionary, that attraction, desire, and romantic success aren't magical forces that strike randomly. They're learnable skills you can develop and master. Today, we're diving into this fascinating book. Shannon Boodram is a certified sexologist and intimacy expert who believes that in today's chaotic dating world, leaving your love life to chance is basically setting yourself up for heartbreak. Instead, she offers a practical 5-phase system for taking control, building genuine confidence, and actually getting what you want. By the end of our conversation, you'll understand this system inside and out. You'll discover the secrets to becoming naturally attractive, how to flirt like someone who actually knows what they're doing, and how to create deep, unforgettable connections. This isn't about manipulation or playing games in the toxic sense. It's about becoming the most confident, authentic, and magnetic version of yourself. So let's jump in. To really appreciate why this book matters, we need to understand the world it addresses. Boodram describes a modern dating landscape that's honestly pretty brutal. It's filled with unanswered messages, people who vanish without explanation, and connections that feel disappointingly shallow and transactional. She talks about a genuine dating famine, especially on apps where the gender ratios are skewed, creating an environment where real connection feels statistically unlikely. It's a world where too many of us feel like we're settling for scraps, completely unaware that there's an incredible feast of chemistry and magical first moments available to those who know how to claim their seat at the table. This widespread frustration inspired Shannon to run an experiment. She put out a call in Los Angeles for incredibly frustrated single women who were ready to completely transform their dating lives. She was flooded with over 250 applications. From this overwhelming response, she selected 6 women from totally different backgrounds, each facing their own unique obstacles to love. There was Deshawn, a brilliant environmental engineer who felt awkward in social situations and worried her intelligence made her boring. There was Courtney, the property manager from our opening scene, who had built such massive emotional walls after past trauma that she came across as intimidating and pushy, scaring away the gentle, kind partners she actually wanted. There was Priscilla, a quiet, selfless single mother so afraid of taking up space that she kept attracting narcissists who would take everything she had to give. There was Stephanie, an Ivy League graduate who had felt like an outsider her entire life and couldn't shake the belief that she wasn't worthy of being someone's first choice. There was Maya, an aspiring writer whose anxiety convinced her it was safer to observe life from a distance than risk trying and failing. And finally, Charisse, a successful professional so exhausted from being hurt that she developed what she called a cactus persona, using sharp spikes to protect the vulnerable person underneath. These 6 women became the subjects of an intense, completely real journey through Boodram's 5-phase program. Their experiences become our roadmap. Through watching their transformations, We learn how to overcome our own fears, flaws, and insecurities. The journey starts with the first and most crucial phase, know. Before you can attract anyone else, you need to deeply understand yourself. Boodram points out that most of us can describe exactly how we like our coffee, down to the tiniest detail, but we completely lack the vocabulary to explain how we love and want to be loved. To address this, she gives the women a self-summary workbook, a series of thoughtful exercises designed to identify the core traits of their intimate selves. This goes way beyond simple lists of likes and dislikes. It's about excavating the deep patterns that actually drive our behavior in relationships. One early exercise identifies your turn-on trigger. What genuinely gets you in the mood beyond the obvious physical stuff? Is it desire, meaning you need to be explicitly told how much you're wanted? That was Deshawn's trigger. After being teased about her appearance growing up, she needed a partner's voice to drown out those cruel voices in her head. Or maybe it's mental connection, where you need intellectual stimulation before anything physical can happen. Or perhaps it's transactional, where you feel desire when your partner handles practical things like chores or errands, creating space for intimacy. Next, they explore their love language, borrowing from Gary Chapman's famous concept. Are you someone who melts at words of affirmation? That was Priscilla. Her mother's constant criticism left deep wounds, and kind words were literally the only thing that could heal them. Or maybe you feel most loved through acts of service, physical touch, quality time, or receiving gifts. Understanding your own language is step one. Learning to speak your partner's language is the secret to relationships that actually last. The workbook goes even deeper, exploring how you apologize, where you fall on the Kinsey scale of sexual orientation, and your personality through the big 5 traits: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. But self-knowledge alone isn't enough. You also need outside perspective, and this brings us to the most terrifying and potentially transformative part of the know phase. The assignment? Reach out to an ex. The goal isn't closure or rekindling anything, it's clarity. It's about asking difficult questions to illuminate the blind spots you can't possibly see yourself. Was I a good listener? Did I speak your love language? Was I emotionally distant? Did I dominate conversations? The women were, understandably, terrified, but those who went through with it discovered profound truths. Stephanie, who struggled with confidence, had Shannon call her ex-boyfriend Fred on her behalf. Fred confirmed what Stephanie secretly feared. Her insecurity made her seem needy and desperate. He said she was selfless to an extreme, rarely talking about herself, which made it impossible for him to really understand her. Hearing this from an outside source was the wake-up call she couldn't ignore anymore. Priscilla learned from her ex that whenever she felt insecure in the relationship, she would completely shut down emotionally, becoming consumed by a desperate need for reassurance. This was a pattern she'd repeated for years, but had never clearly recognized. This phase of deeply knowing yourself, inside and out, creates the foundation for everything that follows. Because you genuinely cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. Which brings us to phase 2, change. This is where the real work starts, and Boodram begins not with mindset but with the physical body. She argues that when we see ourselves look different, we start to actually see ourselves differently. This isn't about conforming to some oppressive beauty standard. It's about leaning into your unique look to unlock your full potential for attraction. So she brings in the professionals. A makeup artist from Smashbox Cosmetics teaches them that makeup isn't about hiding flaws. It's a form of communication. Eyeliner and mascara mimic dilated pupils, which signal attraction. Blush mimics a youthful flush, a biological sign of being in heat. The goal is to look both pretty and, well, pretty interested. A style consultant named Talia Macedo teaches them to dress for their actual lifestyle and to understand their body's measurements, not as limiting categories like pear shape or apple shape, but as a series of beautiful ratios unique to them. A hair guru, Makeba Lindsay, helps them embrace their natural hair as an extension of their identity rather than something to fight against. The most powerful transformation happens to Maya, the anxious writer. She's absolutely terrified of change, but with Makeba's gentle guidance, she gets a bold new haircut with full, blunt bangs. It seems simple, but when she looks in the mirror, she sees someone completely different. She sees a modern-day Farrah Fawcett looking back. She loves it. The change runs so deep that the bangs become a physical symbol of a barrier she's finally broken through. She says later, "I could never, even 6 weeks ago, see myself doing this." With their outer confidence boosted, Boodram turns to their inner worlds. This is where she tackles what she calls cornerstone memories, the specific, often painful incidents that created their limiting beliefs. For Courtney, it was being bullied as a kid, and then finding herself in an abusive relationship as an adult. These experiences created her bulldozer persona, a deep belief that she had to be aggressive and tough to survive. For Priscilla, it was her mother's voice constantly telling her, "You can't do anything right," which eventually morphed into a passive attitude that kept her from ever standing out or taking risks. Boodram holds private sessions with each woman to directly challenge these beliefs. Her core message is powerful: you become who you consistently choose to be. If any part of your current reality doesn't serve your vision of your highest self, you have the power to decide that it's no longer who you are. This leads to exploring seductive versus anti-seductive qualities. She draws heavily from Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction, but simplifies the complex archetypes. Are you a kindness killer, the super agreeable person everyone adores? Are you a keg, always the life of the party? Or are you a zero-fucks seducer, so comfortable in your own skin that people are naturally drawn to you? On the flip side, are you displaying anti-seductive traits without even realizing it? Are you a cactus, putting up protective spikes that also push away good people? That was Charisse. Are you a bulldozer, needing everything to go exactly your way? That described Courtney perfectly. Or are you a shadow, a people-pleaser, who mirrors others to gain approval? That was Stephanie's pattern. Recognizing these patterns is the crucial first step. Actually choosing to become something different is the real journey. Which brings us to Phase 3, Learn. Here, Boodram brings in a diverse team of experts to teach practical skills of attraction. It's basically a masterclass in human connection. First, they tackle online dating. Experts from OkCupid and The League share insider secrets to creating the perfect profile. The key insight: your photos and bio aren't just about looking attractive. They need to tell a compelling story and create natural conversation starters. The data reveals something interesting. Women who message first are 2.5 times more likely to get a response. Then Ari Fitz, a filmmaker and master flirt, teaches them the art of flirting. Her definition is beautifully simple. Flirting is just communication plus sparks. The key ingredient, she explains, is intent. You don't flirt to manipulate someone into liking you. You flirt because you're a genuinely interesting person, and you do it to make both yourself and others feel good. She teaches them about body positioning. An S-shaped posture communicates sensuality, the power of appropriate, consensual touch, and why slowing down your speech creates an air of mystery and confidence. Next, JT Tran, a dating coach known as the Asian Playboy, teaches them how to approach people. He explains that approaching is simply a skill, exactly like riding a bike. His advice is straightforward. Ask an opinion-based question, give a unique and specific compliment, or do a cold read, making a statement that seems like you know more about them than you do. Something like, "You don't seem like you're from Los Angeles. You're too genuine." But perhaps the most fascinating lesson comes from an unlikely duo, a phone sex operator named Nicole and a stripper named Nina Ross. They teach the group the subtle art of what they call mind-fucking, activating someone's sexual responses without them consciously understanding why it's happening. Nicole explains how to use your voice strategically, lowering your tone, slowing your pace, adding just a touch of rasp. Nina, who calls herself the six-figure stripper, teaches them how to use conversation itself to create desire. Her secret? Talk about life's temptations, food, sex, fantasies, bold humor. Steer completely away from typical boring small talk and lead the conversation into territory that's entertaining and memorable. The final lesson in this phase might be the most important. Boodram takes the women to a self-defense class. In a world where consent isn't always understood or respected, she emphasizes it's crucial to know how to protect more than just your heart. The message is crystal clear. Your power comes not only from your ability to attract others, but also from your ability to protect yourself. With all this knowledge internalized, it's time to actually use it. This is Phase 4, Practice. Boodram designs a series of fun, low-stakes field trips and experiments. The goal is practicing their new skills in real-world situations without the pressure of an actual high-stakes date. It transforms the terrifying act of approaching strangers into something more like a game. In the first experiment, called Truth or Stare, they test whether it's more effective to simply be approachable or to actually make the first move. The conclusion is overwhelming. Making the first move gives you control and produces far better results. In the most talked about experiment, playfully named Love Potion Number Vagine, the women test the controversial theory of pheromones. They go to a crowded bar and first interact with people normally. Then they retreat to the bathroom, apply a tiny amount of their own vaginal fluid to their pulse points, and return to the bar. The results are, let's say, intriguing. While it's impossible to prove anything scientifically in this setting, the women report that people seem to lean in closer, conversations feel more intimate, and most importantly, they themselves feel like enchanted goddesses with a delicious secret. The real takeaway is powerful. Whether it's actual pheromones or simply newfound confidence, something definitely works. Another experiment tests which scent is most attractive to potential partners: expensive perfume, fresh laundry, jelly donut, or bacon. After surveying over 50 people, the clear winner emerges: fresh laundry. It's universally appealing across the board. These group experiments build confidence collectively, but the real test comes through a series of solo dates, each with its own experimental twist built in. Deshawn, who's terrified of small talk, gets assigned the interrogation room. On her date with an actual Olympian, she has to ask 13 bold questions, ranging from, "What are your politics?" to, "Do you have a criminal record?" She discovers something liberating. You can ask almost anything if you deliver it with a playful, genuinely curious tone, and it actually creates deeper, more interesting conversation. Stephanie's experiment is called Dangerously in Love. She goes on a date to an indoor skydiving venue. The adrenaline-pumping activity creates an us-versus-the-world dynamic that builds bonds faster and stronger. Though she realizes she has zero chemistry with this particular guy, the experience itself is revelatory. For the first time ever, she feels like she has the power on a date. She realizes, this power thing kind of suits me. Priscilla, who's terrified of any conflict, must try an experiment called Hell Nah/Fuck Yeah. For the first 10 minutes of her date, she has to disagree with absolutely everything her date says. For the next 10 minutes, she agrees with everything. The psychological theory suggests that her date will feel a natural high from winning her over. It works perfectly. He tells a friend afterward, she warmed up after a bit, and it was on and popping from there. He even asks her on a second date. For Priscilla, it's a genuine breakthrough. She realizes that a little playful conflict can actually be interesting and even attractive. These practice rounds serve as final preparation for the ultimate phase. Phase 5. B. This is the moment, the final assignment. Go on a first date with a high-interest playmate, someone who meets their frozen 5 non-negotiable criteria, and successfully secure a second date. This is where everything they've learned comes together. Priscilla, who has literally dreamed of dating ex-NBA star Matt Barnes, gets her impossible chance. Boodram arranges a group meeting with him, and Priscilla absolutely shines, She uses every single tool she's acquired. She's funny, she's warm and maternal, she's subtly sexy. She sits in his direct line of sight, her body forming a perfect S-curve, her face beautifully lit by candlelight. By the end of the night, they've exchanged numbers. She hasn't just secured a date, she's manifested her wildest dream. The experience ignites something profound in her, and she goes on to start her own business, finally stepping into the leading role in her own life story. Deshawn's high-interest playmate is Alex, a man she met and had an incredible connection with in London. The distance feels impossible to overcome, but Boodram pushes her hard. You have to go to London, find that curtain and yank it open to see what's really behind it. Deshawn takes the terrifying leap. She flies to London for what might be the most nerve-wracking and inspiring second date imaginable. The trip exceeds her hopes. They have amazing chemistry, stimulating conversation, and for the first time in a very long time, she has genuinely great sex. She returns a completely transformed woman, calm, mature, confident, no longer defining herself by her awkwardness. Courtney, who struggled to get second dates throughout the program, suddenly finds herself with two high-interest playmates. There's Derek, the firefighter from our opening scene, and River, a man she met in her hometown of Dallas who she describes as a potential soulmate. After a successful, strategically planned date with Derek, River actually flies to Los Angeles to see her. The weekend is, in her words, not a single drop short of amazing. The connection runs so deep that she eventually requests a job transfer to Dallas just to be with him. She found her next great love story. Even Stephanie and Maya, who struggled the most throughout the program, find their own victories. Stephanie goes on a second date with a man who gives her actual butterflies, and for the first time in her life she feels in control, making him work around her schedule. She realizes the real goal isn't to be chosen, it's to be the one doing the choosing. And Maya goes on her first ever second date in her entire life. It's with a trans-masculine person she connected with on OkCupid. The date lasts until 2 in the morning. She says afterward, "I honestly feel so dumb for putting it off this long because it was so easy. I am proud of myself." Each woman discovers her own version of success. They didn't just learn a handful of tricks or techniques, they fundamentally transformed how they saw themselves and their place in the world. So what's the ultimate lesson from the game of desire? It's a simple but genuinely profound shift in perspective. Your romantic life deserves the same intention, study, and deliberate practice that you'd give to your career, your health, or any other important area of your life. Shannon Boodram offers us a powerful reminder that attractive isn't some fixed state of being reserved for a genetically lucky few. It's a verb. It's a series of actions, habits, and choices that literally anyone can make. The journey of these women shows us that the path to real confidence isn't about transforming into someone completely different. It's about systematically chipping away at the fears, insecurities, and false beliefs that have been hiding the brilliant magnetic person you already are underneath. It's about removing the rock you've wedged in front of your own wheel. If there are 3 simple, actionable takeaways from today, let them be these. First, get to know yourself on a genuinely deeper level. Take real time to think about your turn-on triggers, your love languages, your absolute non-negotiables. You cannot ask for what you want if you don't actually know what it is. Second, practice being a better conversationalist starting today. In your next interaction, try the 2-to-1 ratio. For every 1 question someone asks you, ask them 2 questions in return. People genuinely love talking about themselves, and they love people who seem genuinely interested in listening. And third, completely reframe your mindset around dating. Stop thinking of it as something that happens to you, like weather or luck. Start seeing it as a game you can learn to play skillfully. The goal isn't to trick or manipulate anyone. It's to bring out the best in everyone involved in each new connection. Most importantly, it's about having actual fun with the process. That was our exploration of the Game of Desire by Shannon Boodram. We've covered the core ideas and followed the incredible transformation journey of the women in her program. But any summary, no matter how thorough, is like looking at a postcard of a beautiful place. The real adventure, the actual magic, happens when you decide to visit for yourself. The book is packed with stories, detailed exercises, and insights we simply couldn't cover today. If you've ever felt frustrated with your love life, or you simply want to become a more confident and genuinely connected person, I truly believe this book is absolutely worth your time. Reading it isn't just about learning information. It's an experience that could genuinely transform how you see yourself and navigate the world around you. If this journey resonated with you in any way, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. We explore a new, potentially life-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf every single week, and I'd be genuinely honored to have you join us as we continue growing together.